Question. Kim, you said that you get what you project out. So I'm wondering, how do I understand what I am projecting out? Well, two ways, an outer and an inner. So the outer is, look at what's coming back to you. In other words, you look at your life and you can say, are there certain experiences I've had over and over again, certain situations that I run into all the time? Are there certain conflicts I have with other people, certain arguments or reactionary patterns I have relating to other people? So you can look at the outer situation. I have done this throughout my life. For example, I came to a point where I realized that I really had a problem with authority figures because I really felt that when you have authority over other people, you really should not abuse it. You should not take advantage of it. You should not put other people down or hurt their feelings or abuse your power in various ways. So I could see that I got into problems in spiritual movements, for example, with authority figures. And I had to come to a point where I looked at it and realized that I was actually projecting out, in a sense, that I wanted to encounter these authority figures because I needed to see something in myself. And part of it is that I don't want to have authority over other people because I'm afraid of misusing it, or I don't want to take the risk of misusing it because I see how so many times in history people have abused their authority. And so I had to look at that and work with that. So that's just one example. Could be many others. But the other way you know what you are projecting out is basically, well, I would say, to start with, read books about psychology. Watch some of the videos I have done in my breakthrough series about psychology, some of the questions about psychology, and see if you recognize something in what other people are describing, what other people's problems. See if you read a book about psychology and you see it's describing a certain pattern and you can see it in yourself. And this eventually leads you to the point where you get more of a momentum on looking directly into your own psychology, looking at your reactionary patterns, looking at your beliefs about life, about other people, about yourself, what you can and can't do. And then as you work with yourself over time, you gradually build up this ability to sense, oh yeah, I have a pattern here. I'm over and over again, I'm finding myself in the same situation and I'm reacting the same way. And then this comes from what I, in many videos, call the subconscious self. And so you need to look at it from different angles, and come to a point where you see that it's based on a certain illusion, a certain belief that you came to accept, oftentimes in a past life, in a difficult traumatic situation. And when you have these subconscious selves, it's like they form a filter, like putting on colored glasses. And many of these selves, you can have had them for a long time, many lifetimes. So you might think they are part of your personality, part of who you are. And you're not seeing that this is like wearing colored glasses. But you're constantly projecting through that self. And it can be that you are projecting that you want a certain experience. But it can also be that you're projecting you want the opposite of that experience. So you might be projecting that you want to have the experience that you are in a conflict with other people, but you're proven right and they are proven wrong. But you can also have another self that's related to this that is projecting, oh, I don't want to have conflicts with other people. Why are they always harassing me and trying to prove me wrong? But you see, if you have a self that predicts that you want to prove other people wrong, they will always prove you wrong because that's what you say you want, right? But then you have another self that says, oh, why can't people leave me alone? Why are they always trying to prove me wrong? And so you're kind of trapped between these two selves. And so you need to start looking at that at a certain point. When you get more used to working with your psychology, you can come to see these patterns in yourself, and you can come to see that you have a certain belief. It might be, for example, you believe about yourself there are certain things you can't do based on what happened to you in childhood, for example. But it could also go back other lifetimes that, oh, I can't do this, or I can't do that, or I can't be creative, or whatever it may be. And it can be many, many things, that are based on these traumas from past lives. And then essentially you're projecting out. Like say you have let's say you have a belief, I'm not a good parent. Then you are essentially projecting through that, and you are projecting on your children that you want them to give you the feedback that you're not a good parent, because you want the validation of your belief. And your belief is, because you haven't examined it and looked at it, it's like a holy cow in your psychology. You're projecting through it, and you want it validated. So you're subconsciously projecting that out, and the cosmic mirror is reflecting it back to you through other people. And so until you come to see that belief and question it and see the illusion behind it, your outer experience won't change. But once you see through it and resolve the self, your outer experience, your outer situation will change, because now you don't need that validation anymore. And therefore you are free of the self, and you are free of those kind of outer situations. So really, I mean, when you are a spiritual person, as I've talked about many times, you have a life plan. And part of that life plan is that there are certain things in your psychology you want to overcome in this lifetime. And that means you are putting yourself in situations in life where you are forcing yourself to deal with that aspect of your psychology. It may not be obvious at the conscious level, but this is really what you're doing. So you are actually projecting out that dysfunctional psychology in more and more extreme ways throughout your life, so as to force yourself to finally deal with it. And then when you do deal with it, you're free of it, and now your life changes. And often it can change quite dramatically when you see through the psychology.